Good morning. Looks like we have a good crowd here today. It's good to see everyone here to see the workings of the Jefferson County Commission. Before we call to order our January 11th meeting, I would like to reconvene our meeting of December the 21st and see if there's any additional business to be transacted from that meeting. Is there any outstanding business that we need to address? Seeing none, that meeting is now adjourned. I'd like to call to order the January the 11th Jefferson County Commission meeting. Minute Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bolden, Commissioner Knight,
Here.
Commissioner Scales, Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Stevens.
I am here. Thank you very much. Today, I would like to give the invocation and ask Mr. Lawson to lead us in the pledge. And let's stand, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this beautiful day that You've given us. Dear Lord, thank You for all the blessings that You bestowed on our county and its citizens. Dear Lord, as we're about to sit down and determine the course of action that we will take in the near future, we ask that You touch each of our hearts to do the right thing. Dear Lord, please give us the strength, the wisdom, the courage, and the guidance, the foresight to see the future and to be able to do what is right for all citizens. Dear Lord, thank You, God. You've been a wonderful and gracious God to us. Dear Lord, if we have anyone here that is sick and infirm, we ask that You touch them with Your healing hands. Keep us, guide us, and protect us, Lord. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, you have before you the minutes of our December 21st meeting of our last meeting actually of 2023. Last year. Is there any additions, corrections, or revisions to those minutes?
Maybe we dispense the reading of the minutes and adopt them as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. I see no presentations. I do have something that I would like to say to the commission. And Ms. Syria, would you stand up, please? Tara Serio has been a long-time friend and a long-time employee of Jefferson County. She's been my confidential secretary for almost my entire tenure here on the commission, and Tara is retiring at the end of this month. Yeah, she has served her time and served her time very well, and I want to take this opportunity to say thank you, ma'am, and a job well done, and we wish you and Anthony, your husband, the best in retirement. And God bless you, and thank you for what you've done for Jefferson County and the way you've been able to touch the citizens of District 3 through your communications. Thank you so very much.
Thank
you. Now let's go into our public hearings and see what we have. Our first is Z230010. This is an item that was carried over from 12/7/23. Mr. Morrison.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. Happy New Year. Again, this is the case that was carried over. This is the former Hillview Elementary site in Forestdale. The case was carried over back in October for the applicant to communicate with the community regarding the proposed plans. Since that meeting, if you'll recall, they had originally proposed some apartment buildings. Since then, the site plan has changed to do duplex housing. It's 12 duplex units. And thus, there is a change to the recommendation to reflect that. Again, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with conditions that will restrict the property to an age-restricted residential community for persons 55 and older. 2, a landscape buffer shall be maintained adjacent to Egret Drive, which the intent of that particular condition was to limit or prohibit access. The Commission may want to stipulate specifically that access should be prohibited from Egret Drive. Additionally, staff is recommend the additional conditions that the housing type be restricted to one-story duplexes and/or single-family dwellings. And 2, that fencing shall be installed along the property lines on each side, trees planted along the exterior of the fence to provide a visual screen between the development and the surrounding neighborhoods. Are there any questions?
Yeah, you said prohibit access from where?
Egret Drive. The way that the property lies, if you recall,
That's what
and this shows, yeah, they plan on accessing from Cherry. They don't plan on accessing from Egret Drive. However, it may behoove the commission to specifically stipulate that within the conditions.
that you don't access
That
it?
you don't access from Egret Drive. I
Well,
believe a lot of the contention with the surrounding neighborhood
Was
has
it-
to do with traffic, additional traffic that could be on Egret Drive. And again, that second condition that was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, the intent was to essentially say no access from Egret Drive, but it may, the commission may wish to specifically stipulate that.
Is it going to be fenced?
Yes, they're proposing the fence, and again, that's the reason for the other condition.
It's important to note that you have 3 households that are represented that are against this,
Yes, sir?
and all 3 are on Egret Drive. So it's time to open a public hearing for case 230010. We have the Browns, the McDaniels, and the Colemans that have shown opposition to this. Do we have a spokesman for each family? Let's begin with the Browns. Good morning. Ms. Brown, if you'll state your name and your address, and you have the podium.
Phyllis Brown, 943 Egret Drive, Birmingham, Alabama, 35214. I am opposing to this development. My house sits north of this property. When I open my door, it's just like I'm right here. This is my house. This is the development. When I open my door, that development is right there. I have a grandson, I have grandkids, and I don't think this is the right development for our community. I would prefer a development that would be for all of us, the young, the elderly, maybe like a recreation center where we can exercise, where we can meet up and do community things to strengthen our community. Security. If this development go forth, my main concern would be security. There's so much violence that's going on in the Forestdale area, which is unincorporated, and we need to be safe. I like my quiet. It's so quiet. Sometimes may get a little noisy with traffic, but right now it's quiet and peaceful, and that's where you find when you go to work, when you come home, you want to be able to relax, be stress-free. This is not for this time.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
when you open your door now, what do you see?
Right now, what I see is grass and trees, because that was the backside of the gym area. So right now, it's just grassy area.
Okay, so this is not I thought this was the old school there. It's abandoned.
Well, the school is not there. Everything is torn down. Welcome.
Next would be Ray or Linda McDaniel. Good morning, Mr. McDaniel. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Stevens. Thank you for having me up. My name is Roy L. McDaniel. I reside at 967 Egret Drive, which is across Egret from this proposed property thing. I'm the second generation in this property, and it is started out as a school, one-room, two-room school that I attended back in the 40s. And now we're transitioning to a new development. My point is I addressed in September the 14th meeting before this commissioner that the address for this was 1520 Cherry Avenue. And I was, at that point, I requested the commission consider a fencing along the north side of Egret Drive to restrict any access to Egret Drive because it was just a small road that has two 90-degree turns with about 150 feet apart. So I requested the commissioner consider an 8-foot or 6 or 8 foot fence along the property line north of the Egret Drive, adjacent to their property. And then the second step would be, if this property is developed, that it would be strictly enforced for 55 plus, which they had originally presented. The original plan calls for condominiums to be built, and I would reinstate what the staff says, that it be one-story apartment homes. Now, there's a precedent for this, which is just a mile down the road on Cherry Avenue, and it's called the Cherry Ridge Village, less than a mile. It is apartment homes, and it's very well maintained. I have some pictures. I'd like to approach the desk and let you look at some of those. And it's been well, and that was a well thought out division, subdivision that was put in. It's adjacent to the institutional 2 because it was adjacent to a nursing home, which was put there when they tore down our ballpark. And so that was taken care of. Okay. And like I said, with that one-story buildings would be a lot, would blend in with our property along along Egret Drive. There's a sort of a no man's land, you might say, across from Egret Drive, which was used by the school district, and it's part of this property, but they park school buses there, and the staff sometimes park there. And it's a small, less than, I'm not sure a house could be built on it that's, could be built there. But I request that a fencing be put around there because, unfortunately, we have a lot of people that dump garbage along this Egret Drive. So I'd like to see something done with that property. I think the adjacent landowner has tried to buy it and was denied that thing. So, and my final thought is when I read over the institutional 2 zoning, there is under section 703.01, paragraph 0, it allows for transitional homes. Now, transitional homes could be halfway houses for drug addicts, or it could be also, who knows, maybe the federal government might want to put in some transitional homes for some of our illegals that are coming in. So, or it may be a halfway house for from people coming out of prison. So, and I understand that they need places like that, but I'd like for the commissioners to put a stipulation that that paragraph 0, transitional homes, be exception to this ruling. Okay, in my closing statement, I'd like to say that the use of the property be limited to people 55 and older, and that it be a one-story frame building, because as they get older, they're not going to be able to go up and down those steps unless, I doubt they would put an elevator in. But anyway, if you, pictures I showed you with Cherrydale, that it was. And then the other thing was the entrance and exit only from Cherry Avenue with a privacy fence along the north side of Egret Drive adjacent to their property. And with that, sir, I think that with those restrictions, I think we could live with what they're proposing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Coleman, Yolanda Coleman. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much, folks. I'd like to say my name is Yolanda Coleman. I live at 953 Egret Drive. That will be on the northwest side of the property of 1520 Cherry Avenue. That used to be a very good school. Since this property is encroaching directly next door to me, that is my main concern in that little park area that she stated in the last meeting that it would be. And I don't know how to direct this to the big screen here. And of course, in this little corner area, that is the said property that's encroaching on myself and my across the street neighbor, April Smith, who is unable to be here, right here. And as they've been saying, we are concerned about the crime. As you see, Cherry Avenue is directly between Birmingham. It's the freeway between Birmingham and I-22. And all kinds of criminals will use that as access, as well as Highway 78 on Heflin, which is 2 blocks up. So therefore, this little area has been used several times by drug dealers and transactions. I have called county several times on these transactions, as well as a dumping ground. So with this being supposed to be a nature area, this will also has been used and will be used as a parking area for so-called visitors for the residents in this area, or again, transactions in this corner area. And that is my concern. So I want this not a landscape screen. I want hardscape, such as a big fencing, such as Ms. McDaniels mentioned, as 8 feet away from between our properties, so that these transactions don't affect my property, which I use. This is my home. This is my big investment. Than some transitional person who's not invested in that area as we are. That is my number one concern, next to my property value going down, because I don't want to have gunshots through my windows, because there have been some shootings in the area. But we're quiet, and we know each other, and we support each other and look out for each other here in this area. And this has been quite disturbing since this is right at my back door, literally. Have any questions for me?
Mr. Morrison, sir, which one is Cherry, which one is, Egret? What, the road?
This is Cherry right here,
Okay.
and this is Egret that comes up this way.
And where do you live, Miss Coleman?
This is right there, that house right there.
Okay.
This area is mine. When I say literally, I've had people just go round this 90-degree corner and ran into my mailbox and that I've repaired. And my next door neighbor here, she is quite concerned, unable to be here, because she works at a school. She's right here. So this is concerning us both. All the dumping, transactions and all that, and these people here and their visitors, we really don't like it. So we like to, that's why, and this is a very short road, but 2 feet wide. So it can't tolerate so much traffic. So we like to keep everything off on Cherry if they're going to enter and exit from that area.
Where does the Egret Avenue go to? Is it a connector?
Yes, here's Cherry Avenue, which is go straight to I-22, and down the opposite direction, it goes straight to Birmingham and Highway 78.
78.
And then you have Daniel Payne.
What's the other end of Egret?
And the other end of
Yes,
Egret,
ma'am.
this is Cagle. Also, that we don't need nothing there too. It's a very smaller road, and between those roads, it's nothing but ditches. And then here, Miss Brown area, her house, and this my landscape business officer there, his right there. It's so tight there, and we have school buses that come and pick up the children in this area, and as well as Cagle, there are school children that be picked up here.
Thank you, ma'am.
So it's a very good. And then as you go down to Egret, you meet Huron, and Huron meets East Heflin. And that is also go straight to Highway 78. But, you know, that's a big thoroughway
Understand.
to Jasper.
Is that little green triangle spot, is that?
That's the, that's what she's going to
That's
have.
just a lot, right?
It's just a lot right now because the school, as Mr. McDonald's mentioned, school used as a parking lot for the school buses and the staff. So now it's just an open area. They mentioned that she's going to make that like a nature area, but I need a tall fence in there because it's too much going on there now. And now it's just going to be a little area there for them to do their thing.
Just out of curiosity, as your commissioner,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very familiar with that area. What is it that you think that your neighbors would want to see at that location? Obviously, at some point, we're probably going to get several requests for development. What would you all like to see there?
Something for the community, like a parking. What would y'all like? A rec center.
So you want something that can be used by the community.
Like libraries or a rec center.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't want to see any type of
Negative.
residential development. It sounds like you all don't want any more residential properties developed in that area. You prefer to have something
Well,
that's
not as resident. We like ownership of it. If you own something, invest in something,
okay.
you're gonna want to be there, and you're gonna
Okay.
take care of it, and you're gonna want the best, not only for yourself but also for your neighbors.
Okay, so
But
you want something that's more community development oriented,
Right.
or you would want home or property owners or homeowners that if you're going to build certain homes, they need to be compatible to your current property value. In addition to the fact it needs to be for home ownership.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you're gonna take care of it, it's something temporary, you're not gonna care.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Morrison, these would be apartments, not would they be for sale for the 55 and older?
The applicant is here. I believe it's all going to be rental, but that's a question that you can pose to her.
Thank you. Miss Lily Rainey.
Just one more opposing.
One more opposing. I need for you to state your name, because I don't see you signed in.
I'm sorry, I was behind you coming in. I'm sorry, I didn't sign in out of order. But my name is Sharon Marshall, and my address is 973 Egret Drive. And as stated before, when we were first notified about the public hearing for this proposed zoning, it was presented to us as a 55-plus community, which I guess is okay, but, you know, we didn't know that much about it. At that time, we were only concerned about the additional street parking or the parking and the extra traffic that would be coming through. But we were led to believe that it would be, you know, more like Cherry Ridge Village, which is very nice. And we have been given little opportunity to discuss the development proposal with the developer and our concerns about the development. We were informed later that there were meetings that were had that we were not invited to, that we didn't knew anything about, so we didn't have any time to discuss our concerns before we came before you guys again, which makes me feel a little bit bad. Now we're here and talking about the property being used for, you know, the transitional housing, and we just want to know exactly what that means in the context of this particular property. If it means that it's going to be like recovery housing or, you know, foster care, transitioning, or we would have a whole other set of concerns when it comes to things of that nature. We don't want to be worried about the safety of our community. We are a older, established community, and we don't want to be worried about, you know, our houses when we leave home or whatever the case may be, or the traffic or whatever that's going on around there. We are truly neighbors that care about each other, and we have not been plagued with any break-ins or crimes that are going on in the outer perimeters of our little tiny community. And those are the concerns that we have. We don't want it to come to our little community. As stated before, they were always, you know, they were talking about the trees and the shrubs. And again, we want high fencing if this development does come. So, and we want to block it out because the temptation of them parking there is just, it would just be too great. Of course, if you can get an easier park, you're going to take the easier park and go through the bushes if you have to in order to access the property. But those are our concerns, and we hope you guys take that in consideration. We are a small, tiny community, and we are a community that needs help. We need help. Our community is very small, and we need something that's going to be conducive for everybody in the community, like maybe places for us to walk or exercise, or just for the elderly people in the community to get together on a daily basis, because most of them are. I mean, I'm one of the few that are still working, but most of them are, you know, retired, and it's a place that we need a place that they can go to and, you know, migrate together and have a better life. But that's about all I know.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Help us, please.
All right. We have Lily Rainey. Ms. Rainey, good morning.
Morning.
She is for this. And then we have Josh Patrick, and that takes care of everyone that signed in. Ms. Rainey?
My name is Lily Rainey. I live at 1201 Grand Boulevard. That's Birmingham. It is in Forestdale. When I was here the last time, you all suggested that I meet with the neighbors and that we have a discussion about their concerns. And so I reached out to Mr. Brown, I believe it is, who was the president of a neighborhood association there. And I asked him to send me a list of all of their concerns so that I could create a presentation and meet with them and address all of their concerns. He did that, sent me an email. I did a PowerPoint presentation. I met with everybody that came. I was not in charge of notifying all the neighbors around there. That was the spokesperson who stood here before you all when we met September, October. And we met at the fire station on 78. Supposedly, people were notified. I went there and did my presentation. I addressed every issue that Mr. Brown had sent in his email. We had a good meeting. When I left there, people were coming to me as, not necessarily because of that, but I'm an attorney, so they was, oh, we can work together this way, and we can do this for the community. And one of the things I did while I was there, I said, I want all of you all to take down my telephone number. If you have any questions or any concerns, you can call me. It's one of me. It's a lot of them. I didn't know them. I gave them my telephone number. I received phone calls that night, thrilled about the project, looking forward to it. Some wanted me to mentor them, so forth. However, I never heard since that day from anybody else to say, yeah, I have an additional question, I have additional concerns. So here we are today, and I believe everything that I have heard from the neighbors today have already been addressed. When we were here last time, they said they didn't want the 2-story apartment building. I went back on my own, based on what they said, and I revised it to be duplexes. Planning and zoning approved 24 units, so I said duplexes, 6 on each side, which would still give me my 24 units. It would be 1 story. That addressed that issue that they had. The ingress and egress off of Cherry Avenue, we talked about that last time. That was conditioned from planning and zoning. I still maintain that as well. That little bitty little piece that outside that, I think it was Miss Coleman, I may be wrong, that mentioned. I have no plans for that. If she would like to buy it, we can talk. Because that is not within the area, and it makes it difficult for me to even access it. If I'm going to put up the hardscape, if you look at it, how am I going to come out of Cherry Avenue? I got to come all the way down Cherry, then hit egress, and then go back up to get to that little small piece. I'm not building anything on that. So if she would like to talk to me about buying that or any of the other neighbors, I would be happy to entertain that.
How big of a parcel is that little piece?
I really don't have the dimensions on that right before me. But that little piece right there, again, I would be willing to talk to the neighbors, and they can do, if they want to buy it from me and we come to an agreement, they can buy that.
Who owns it?
All of that in the green will be owned by me. And that's why I'm saying I would be willing to sell that, because I have no use for it. The duplexes would be along that long length on both sides. And then in that corner would be the office building for the duplexes. Everything that they asked of me, I addressed. They were concerned about the traffic. I said that is beyond my pay grade. but I would not have a problem in getting traffic and engineering to do a study, and that we both sets would agree to abide by that. One-story duplexes. Yes, they will be rented units, but this is a business investment for me. So I will maintain it. They asked about the maintenance of it. I took with me to that meeting my maintenance plan, my policies and procedures, and laid it out if they wanted to look at it.
Are you going to manage it?
Yes. I also stated to them, I heard about the fencing, the tall fencing and all of that, and I said, yes, I would do that. I would put the arborvitae trees there as a buffer on each side so that they can't see it. And I'm trying to make sure I address all of their concerns. The main one is that, yes, 55 and plus. I've heard that somewhere somebody said it was going to be transitional housing. I don't know where that came from. It did not come from me. So that might have been just talk among the neighbors, but it's just 55 and older, elderly people. It won't be for homeless or whatever the transitional housing that they're saying. The example they showed you is on that same style, because my mentor is Mr. Ball, who built those apartments down there. But it is my project. I'm just saying he's my mentor. So it will be on that style. It will be gated. So off of Cherry Avenue, we're going to have it gated. So then just the general public can't come into that property, just drive through. Now, the only other thing, when I was at the meeting, one of the neighbors who actually live on Cagle Road suggested that we do open that backside to have an ingress-egress on the backside to Cagle Road. I'm just voicing what the neighbor said. I was okay with just Cherry Avenue, but he even mentioned about for emergency or whatever that we open the backside, which doesn't touch egret. And all I've heard today is about Egret Drive. I believe I've answered all of the questions. We will put the fence up. And certainly you're welcome to make that a condition, and we're ready to meet those conditions.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Tyson has a question.
Yes, the problem that we're having in District 2, Commissioner Scales, with senior citizen assisted living programs. They like Four Wind apartments have been sold 6 times since 2013. Each time has gotten worse. I just was over there, Mike, was that 3 weeks ago? Prostitution, they was actually, and they got the key thing, to let in, to get in. Somebody was propping the door open, and they was letting prostitutes in. Okay. They had fixed the apartments because of the people keep buying them. So we called HUD out because they are HUD subsidized. HUD been out twice. I'm calling them out again. They need to shut it down because there's no reason for these seniors to have to live in that condition. Okay. I went in the hallway. I smelled marijuana when I pulled up. Okay. That's one of the apartments. I can name you 10 off the top of my head. One of them downtown, bed bugs, from some of the seniors pulling furniture off the street. Then the mental element of mentally ill people that they have let in, that senior citizens, is awful. Now, all of these people are they over 60. And I do have good assisted living programs. But I can go on from venereal disease epidemic in them. I can go on and on and on. So what is stopping you from selling yours like they have done over the years and letting this element move in on people that's trying to retire? And a lot of people have sold their homes because they don't want to cut grass and all of that. And they want to come and relax and just wake up in the morning and go sit out on the balcony. But they can't do that because of some seniors still want to be in, I guess, the criminal activity field and still feel like they want to sow their wild oats or something. I don't know what causes people to do that. And they do have a legitimate concern because we have too many slumlords around here. That's why the condition of the communities look like they are. That's why it's illegal dumping the way they do. Majority of illegal dumping come from rental property, where people cleaning out rental property and dumping on the street. I am a component for senior living facilities the right way. And maybe they just doing that in my area because it's a poor area. Maybe that, I don't know, because this area is kind of like a upper scale area. Maybe it might not happen there. I don't know. I don't know whether the people with money crave these type things or not. I don't know because I'm not at that age group. Because I thought when you get to a certain age, a lot of this foolishness will stop, but it's obvious it don't.
Hey, we don't die.
Yeah, when we get that age, we're still okay. All right.
Well, you know, Viagra done brought on a lot of problems around here. And I really sympathize with them. I get it. And no one can have more compassion for people than me. But I don't want to retire back into that type of element neither. So I don't hear you saying nothing where you can guarantee that you're not going to sell your property. And I asked the guy that just recently bought Bankhead Towers. It's a foreign guy. Where was he from, Mike? Well, he wasn't from the United States. They bought Bankhead Towers. And it's been up under 2 management companies. But this element is still coming in that facility, and it's not fair. And you can't guarantee these people if somebody come and tell you they're gonna give you $50 million, you ain't gonna sell. And then it's you gone with your $50 million, and it's left on this community to be terrorized. And it's not fair. And until we can get something established to guarantee people or some type of ordinance or law put in place that make people do right. You shouldn't have to make people do right. But I truly believe that when you don't do right, you should be made to do right.
I agree as well. And may I speak now?
Yes, ma'am.
As I said before, this is a business investment for me, but it's for my family. For generation after generation. There is no goal to build this, for me to go through this and sell it. I stayed maybe a mile or 2 from this property. So I consider it in my backyard as well. And as a real estate agent, as a home builder, I am not just putting something up just to try to make a dollar to sell to somebody as $50 million. No, I don't believe that'll happen, but my goal is not to sell this. I don't know how to assure you all I'm going to follow HUD guidelines as far as getting residents in there, follow guidelines, HUD guidelines with maintenance. Follow HUD guidelines. Now, I don't know what you need from me or the neighbors to ensure that I'm not going to sell. I'm going to do my very best to get the right type of people in there, because I don't want to deal with those elements that you mentioned as well. Because I want this to be there for years and years and years, and under the same ownership as my family ownership. So what do you need for me to reassure you?
I don't think you can give us anything because you don't know how long you're going to live and you don't know what your children going to do. Because
does anybody?
No, nobody. Okay. Because I called myself leaving my daughter some, and she said she didn't want to move in that area where I left her house at.
Right.
So I had to end up sitting.
Excuse me, we need to wind this up.
Okay.
We have one other person that would like to speak, and then we're going to call for question, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, this must be Josh Patrick.
I'm Roy McDaniel. I spoke a little earlier.
You did, Roy, but I don't know that we need to give any rebuttal on this.
Yes, this is a rebuttal to what some of the comments she has made.
That's something. Let's hear from our other person. If you look behind you, we have a room filled with people, and we have several cases to take. And this case is almost taken an hour. So I'm going to ask you to let's let someone that hasn't spoken speak. And I think the commission has heard enough information to do what we need to do. And I appreciate you respecting what I said.
I do that, huh? Yeah. I'm Linda McDaniel, 967 Egret Drive. I guess my main rebuttal, and we all have, is we don't know this Mr. Brown. We don't have a homeowner association. We have not been reached out to personally, did not know about the meeting, had no input whatsoever. We were not given the lady's phone number. We have been in the dark. And then we did start hearing that this is going to be transitional. She says it's not, but I think we really need for a safeguard to say that it is not going to be, that it's going to be for elderly, and they are not recovering alcoholics, they are not being transitioned out of prison, or there's a lot of government programs now that are taking the people that come over the border and trying to house them into neighborhoods. We would like to know that we are guaranteed some safety, and that's a lot of our concern.
Appreciate your concerns, Ms. McDaniel. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience like to speak in favor of? And no, sir. You've already had your time, and you've had your time, and a couple of others. So let's get these other folks, and you have too.
Ms. Cole?
Short, quick, brief.
If I let you speak, I need to let everyone speak. And you've already had that. So I think we have enough information to.
I just don't want us to become another center point.
I understand. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? I'm going to close the public hearing at this time. Is there anything from the commission?
Yes, Mr. President. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out today, including yourself, Ms. Rainey. I know that you came before us a couple of months ago. I made several notes, not only from what the residents had to say, but I also made notes as it relates to you. I happen to know, and I want to make this commission aware, obviously I'm the commissioner for the area, right? So what I did, and I'm going to remind this commission, Jefferson County Commission actually helped with the development of where Charles Balls's facility is, right? Okay, approach this right quick, and Mr. President, I promise won't take me but just a few minutes. Ms. Rainey, if you can approach right here. So, am I correct in asking, you said that your Mr. Ball is a mentor for you?
Yes, I met with him when I wanted to start doing this. And he met with me and my daughter. And he said at the time that he was in a project and that he would be happy to work with me and work with me on giving me advice or whatever. So that's why I'm saying he's a mentor. Now, he has not signed on. We met over breakfast, and he said he would be willing to do that. So,
Okay, so hold on just a moment,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
for time's sake. So, are you utilizing any architectural drawings or any of that to implement what he has already developed with your project?
am I using his plans?
No, ma'am.
I'm
You
trying-
said that your property development is similar to his, right? Am I correct?
The duplexes.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm asking, are you, since he is a mentor, or at least you sought after his mentorship, are you utilizing any of the architectural drawings or any of the entities that he used to build his?
That is going to be my plan. Now, whether I have not
But you don't, hold on, but you don't have, the answer is no. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I won't say that because that's what I want to do.
Okay.
He's going to work with me. But at this stage, I have not even purchased the property yet because it's all dependent on what's going on here.
Okay, yes, ma'am. And so my other question is this. When you mention about management, do you have any other properties that you have a previous background of managing properties such as this?
Not that I own.
Do you have any background experience?
I have managed the office building where I am now.
Okay.
For Allele Properties.
Okay. So let me make sure I state the question again. You said that you would be the managing agency or whatever as it relates to that specific development. Is that right?
Yes.
My question to you is, what previous background with a project of this nature that you have managed yourself that you can say that you have experience in that regard?
I don't have any experience with 55 plus over apartments or duplexes, but I do have property management experience.
Okay.
It's commercial.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say as a commissioner. I will say it's probably a little interesting for me. I didn't realize that the property development, the scope of it had changed. I didn't know that we were talking about duplexes now from your original presentation. I will say to the neighbors, I'm clearly aware that I made notes about the community being preserved. That's what you're trying to do. You want to preserve the integrity of the community. And right now, you all are a neighborly community, and you're trying to maintain such, which is the reason why you came today. Is that correct? All right. And lastly, let me say this to you all as community members. I would encourage you, I don't know if you know Mr. Brown, even though Mr. Brown is over Holiday Hills, but they have a group, but that's okay. I would encourage you to start participating in your neighborhood meetings because you don't want the decisions of a few to determine the outcome that could possibly affect you, okay? But you can have a seat, ma'am. But I will say this. I am one that I do believe in listening to those people, and I will tell you what I was sitting here doing was I was actually texting Mr. Ball, and that's why I asked you the certain line of questioning, because he did tell me he has not mentored you. He hold on. Okay, but what you said here is that he was your mentor, and so I text him so he could tell me, because this commission has supported Ball Healthcare. And it's important that if his name is going to be used in this setting, for the record, that then I'm going to be looking to him in terms of what you're talking about doing. That's important, okay? And so he made me aware he wouldn't turn his back on you, but he is not your mentor. Okay. All right. So thank you, Mr. President. We're ready to call.
I think we've properly vetted this, ma'am.
So he's not my active mentor, but we did meet, and he said he would work with me. That's why I used his name.
Yes, ma'am.
Public hearing is
Yes,
now
ma'am.
closed.
I have a question. Who owns this property? I was under the impression you did.
Jefferson County Board of Education. I'm under contract.
I was under the impression too, Commissioner. I thought that was the reason why you mentioned that if the neighbor wanted to purchase the property in question, that you could, because you were the property owner. So I get that.
I heard that too, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Whether you all approve it or not.
Yeah.
So I'm under contract, and I will buy it, and I'll hold on to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to deny, Mr. President.
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Minute Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bolin, Commissioner Knight,
Aye.
Commissioner Scales,
No.
You made a motion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then I'm sorry.
Don't go
Excuse
get
me.
your motion.
Excuse me. That's why I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah. I, for the record.
Commissioner Tyson,
Aye.
Commissioner Stevens.
Aye. This rezoning has been denied. Commissioner, real quick.
I do think that, Ms. Laney, I would think that if you did buy this, which I was under the impression that you owned it when we was talking about that other little piece, I have no doubt that you would do it in the right way. I said I think you would do it in the right way, but the vote's been taken, so that's where we are.
Thank you. Next case is Z23-0039, Lloyd and Alicia Cummings. And I know we have another one that has several people who wish to speak. I'm going to hold that one to last for expedience and let these other people get out of here. Go ahead, Mike.
We're doing case 30?
We're doing case 39.
39.
We're going to save 30 to last.
Okay.
39.
All right, case number 39. This is a request to remove split zoning. It's really quite a simple request. If you'll notice on the zoning map, you'll see here there's a small portion that is zoned C1 commercial and another portion down at the bottom below that subdivision that has R1 zoning. The request here is just to consolidate it all to A1, just so the property will have only one zoning classification.
Like to open a public hearing on Z23-0039. Anyone in the audience wish to address this issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Chair will entertain a motion. Would you give me a motion?
Excuse me, I'm here to represent, I'm Lloyd Cummings.
Well, Mr. Cummings, I just gave you an opportunity to speak. And there's no opposition. I'm just waiting on a motion. She's moved the item. Seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. There you go. Sometimes it's best just to not say anything. Yes. Z23-0040.
Yes, sir. This is a request to rezone from institutional to R6. This is for compliance for a residence. This is a former parsonage that is adjacent to a church property, and the church wishes to sell it as a single-family dwelling. As you see, it's a residence that's out there, and R6 is the predominant residential zoning in this particular community. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval.
Z23-0040. I'd like to open a public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who wishes to address this particular matter? Seeing none, public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
Move the item.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye. Which one is that?
40.
That's in the area.
Next is Z230041.
Yes, sir. This is a request to go from.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I know you put the case of Z2330 at the end, but a number of people who are at this meeting today to speak on that, they have full-time jobs, and they've asked me to ask you to please hear it after this case so that they can get back to their job, because some of them are going to have to leave.
Yeah, the rest of them, it's going to take probably 4 minutes to go through what we've done.
That's what we needed to hear, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. This is a request to go from C3, which is a zoning that's exclusive for nightclubs, bars, lounges, to A1. The plan is to develop the property for a mobile home, which would only be allowed in either A1 or R6 zoning. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this one as well.
Open a public hearing, Z230041. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of or in opposition to this? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Second.
Item moved second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Z230042.
Yes, so this property has legacy C1 zoning. At one point in time, there was an apartment complex on this property. That apartment complex has become dilapidated and is currently just used for personal storage. The applicants have requested to rezone this to A1 just for compliance for a residence that's on the property. And you'll see in the aerial photograph that the property's use is residential, single-family residential.
Like those for public hearing, Z230042. Anyone wish to speak to this particular? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Move the item.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Z230043. Claudette Hughes on property over that's adjoining Russ Triple H Ranch property over the shadow.
Yes, sir, correct. This is a request for a 151-lot garden home subdivision. I did receive word from the developer that they wish to continue this case until next month. I'll let them make that formal request here because we've already sent public notice and everything else. But that is what the request to do. But very quickly, it's just a garden home subdivision that is adjacent to Ross Bridge out in Hoover. Rezoning will go from R1 to A1. Planning and Zoning Commission recommending approval with conditions. One, that the proposed residential garden home subdivision should be set back a minimum of 50 feet from the existing tower site located on the parcel, permitted conditionally under a zoning case Z-17-031. 2, the 30-foot access easement for the existing monopole tower be maintained or an alternative route provided. 3, that sidewalks be constructed within the development. And 4, that a buffer shall be constructed along the homes on Triple H Ranch Road. It does comply with the policies of the land use plan.
Now, since we have advertised this, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing for Z230043 with the understanding we will continue.
That was the request that was made over the phone to me.
If we receive that.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone here that will wish to speak to Z230043 besides the developer? Besides the developer.
Wait a minute, what are we asking here?
Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Let me ask a question. Is that going to be on the sewer?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Now, Michael, you've asked for a continuation.
The developer has asked.
The developers asked.
But again, I told them that they would.
Do I get a head shake on that? Yes. All right, I got a head shake on that. Yes, I'm trying to expedite this. All in favor for continuation to next month, 1 month?
Yes, sir. But I believe it's February 8th.
February the 8th.
Okay. Move the item.
Second.
Move and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, folks, that continues all of the items except number 30. It's going to be a public hearing for this. The right of way, that's the thing. Yeah, I think they give a Jefferson also.
Is that part of that, Jeff? 8 and 9?
Our case now before us is 230030. Michael.
Yes, sir. This is a request for a garden home subdivision on Lou George Loop. The developer originally proposed 107 units. Since then, they have revised their development plan to just have 100 units. This proposed development would connect to sanitary sewer. It does comply with the policies of the land use plan for the area. I will note that there was a case that was on the opposite side of Lou George Loop to the south and to the west that was denied recently by the commission, citing that it did not have infrastructure that was there. Again, the original development plan looks as follows. They have since revised those, and I'll point out those differences very quickly, is that they did include a buffer along Lou George Loop at both entrances. And again, there is they included a little bit more buffering as well along where the power line easement is located that traverses through the property itself. Again, with it complying with the policies of the land use plan, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended that garages be set back, recommended approval with conditions that garages be set back a minimum of 25 feet from the back of the sidewalk or back of curb, that the density be limited to 2.4 dwelling units per acre. 3, that the buffer exists along existing active tributaries and or streams on the site leading to Bob George Branch Stream. And then lastly, to install a 25-foot buffer to mitigate the effects of a difference between the densities between RG zone and the A1 zone. Are there any questions? Again, I think that those are dry weather. Okay. They just show up on our hydrological maps. Again, I'll have the developer address that as well.
Right now, I'd like to open a public hearing Z230030. Now, I'm going to do this a little differently because we have time constraints. Whom needs to go to work that is set aside to speak? Yes, ma'am. If anyone's wanting to speak and you've got to go to work, who needs to do that? I don't want to go in different from what you said because you wanted us to move thing and to take care of it, and I've tried my best to comply with you on that. So one of y'all really needs to get up and say, I got to don't make me look bad now. I got to work my names. All right, I'm going to go down the list now. And I apologize, I've got a bad cold today. Matt Green, reveal. Are you here, Matt?
I am.
You want to come talk?
Let Connor do the talking.
All right. So you're not going to talk?
Not at the moment, anyway. I may reserve time.
Well, who is going to represent the property? Come on.
My name is Connor Farmer. I live at 2251 Emmett Cove, 35242. I am the owner of High Point Properties. We buy and sell and have been doing developments around the Birmingham area for about 20 years. I currently have the Holt property under contract, contingent upon this zoning approval. We've been working on this project for several months. We feel like that we've come up with a really good plan. I know there's been some other cases that have come up in this area where they came in and the design was very square. It was very dense, and just everything squeezed in. I'd like you to kind of point out that our design has curvature in roads. It has some green space in different areas where there's topography and streams. We've put buffers along the corridors there. And trying to make it more suitable. We're working with the home builder Newcastle Homes to build the homes in the neighborhood. Newcastle is a local builder. They're not a national tract builder. Their homes have a lot more character than some of the national tract builders do. Of course, the development would have the required retention. We were willing to put in the necessary decel lanes, turn lanes that come into the property off Lou George Loop Road. and of course meet all the recommendations from planning here that was mentioned on the screen here. I do have some pictures of the product that the home builder would be building, and also along with that are some pictures that are some properties within a quarter mile of the subject property. So I'd like to point out that I'm certain that what will be being built on this development exceeds a lot of the surrounding areas, surrounding properties. So you know, the big opposition here, I believe, is that this is traditionally been a rural area. And I understand that. I agree with it. It has been a rural area for many, many years. But now we have a 9-story, $400 million hospital being built within a mile and a half of this property. There are already 2 large neighborhoods. One of them is directly across the street from this property. If you stand on this property, you're looking at a 150 lot plus neighborhood that is the exact same zoning, and our houses would exceed the quality of those houses across the street. So we're not spot zoning something out in the middle of a rural area. We're asking for zoning that is already in place directly across the street. Halfway between this property and the new hospital is another development that has over 300 homes in it, with some lots that are smaller than this, some that are the same size, and some that are a little larger. So what I'm trying to say is that with this new hospital coming within 2 miles of this property and the other developments that are already there, the rural character of this community has already been changed. It's not like we're coming here and changing the rural character of this community. It's already in progress. It's already happening. It's already done. What we're trying to do is fill the demand for the people that are going to be employed by that $400 million hospital and the $1.1 billion Smucker's factory that's being built, and just all the job growth that's growing in this area. We're trying to fill the demand for housing and for living, where the people that work at these places will spend their money in Jefferson County. You have the Tanny Hill Promenade that's 2 miles from this property, with plenty of shopping and restaurants and everything else. So the rural character of this area is not changing because of us. It's already changed, and it's already en route. We do have sewers located directly across from the property. You can see right here on the southwest corner here, that line right there, that there's a pump station directly across from the property there, maybe 100 feet up the right of way. We would be tying onto that pump station with the sewer. I think one of the concerns with the development that came prior to us down here on the bottom right was that it didn't have access to the sewer, and they were talking about doing a on-site sewer system. That's not what we would be doing. We'd be tying onto the existing Jefferson County sewer. A lot of the concerns are going to be traffic. And I get that as well. I mean, with growth and development and a hospital and all of that, you're going to have traffic. The county is currently widening and building a 5-lane. They're expanding Bell Hill Road to be a 5-lane road that will intersect with Lou George Loop Road, the feeder road here that'll feed into Bell Hill Road. And that will alleviate a lot of traffic. A 5-lane road that'll go directly out to Eastern Valley, right where it intersects with 459. So we feel like the traffic with that Bell Hill Road will be helped tremendously. And like I said, we're willing to have follow all the county's guidelines with sight distance at our entrance so that it's safe, with a left-hand turn lane at our entrance so that it's safe, and all the things that are required by the county to meet all the safety standards. I understand that with growth comes growing pains. Right now this property is currently taking in $300 a year in property taxes. It's rural, it's wooded property. With the development here that we're proposing, it'd take in approximately $130,000, $140,000 a year in property taxes. allowing for that money to be spent on necessary improvements in the area. You know, a lot of people will get up here and say, well, we don't mind it being developed. We want it to be 1 acre lots, you know, like some of the stuff around there. Well, I have a 1 acre lot development within 3 miles of this property in the same McCalla area that we started 4 years ago. It's called Camp Creek. You may be familiar with Camp Creek. Ronnie Morton is my partner on the project. We have about 28 lots that range from 1 acre to 10 acres. We've got a pond in there, 2 acre, 3 acre lake with a common area on the lake. And if you look it up and go out there and see, you'll see that we started the project 3 or 4 years ago. We sold about 12 lots. There's about 7 houses in the development over 4 years. It's just not economically feasible. There's not builders out there buying 1 acre lots and building spec homes. After the recession, the whole market changed to where I did the Timberlake development up on South Shades Crest, that we have 200 lots and on 240 acres with 2 lakes. And that was prior to the recession. We were selling those lots, 40 at a time, as fast as we could develop it and sell them. The reality is that all those builders are gone. They went out of business. And the only builders that are buying and building spec houses anymore are the builders that are building on slab lots, on smaller slab lots. These houses will start in the $300,000 range. So we're not talking about a house that I believe is less than a lot of the houses in the area, and definitely more than what's across the street or right down the street in some cases. So if you drive out here, you'll see for sale signs all over the place around the new hospital, and that's because with the hospital, their property values have gone super high. So yeah, there is a negative to the growth of the hospital and all the new commercial development coming around there that causes traffic and causes congestion, but it also raises property values, and that's why so many people have them for sale right there along the road.
What's particular to your proposed development that you want to address? I understand the dynamics of the entire McCalla area and what's going on.
Yeah.
I need for you to hold your statements to what's the development in your particular and how it will affect these people out here that are speaking in opposition to it.
Yeah.
And you need to do that pretty quickly now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, ours is number one. It's not a rental community. We're not going to build houses and rent 100 houses like what has happened across the street. It's a different builder, quality builder that, I spoke so much about that because I've met with a lot of these people at a private meeting at the Holiday Inn in the McCalla. So we tried to listen to some of the concerns, make some changes to our development plan. But we're just trying to address the need for housing in the area because of all the job growth. And it makes sense to us. I hope it makes sense to you guys to keep, these people in Jefferson County where they're working. So our layout, our design is a lot better, more creative than the previous designs of the other developers that were here with where they were just square roads, like cookie cutter square. So that's about it. All right. Thank you.
I've got a couple questions. Are your school buses going to be able to circumvent those cul-de-sacs?
Yes, sir. Our cul-de-sacs will be required to be the 80-foot cul-de-sacs. That's required by the county. I believe is an 80-foot radius around the cul-de-sacs. The school buses will be able to turn around in them.
I mean, houses have 2-car garages.
Yes, sir. A lot of them, the pictures you see there, they'll have 2-car garages.
What about your buffers to the neighboring neighbors? It looks like you're running right on the street on one, like you're running pretty close to the road on your development on your lot. Do you have any buffers?
Yes, sir. We had lots going out to the road on Lou George Loop. We added buffers there. We took out 2 lots along Lou George Loop Road right there. We can shift this cul-de-sac down a little bit, keep the buffer there on Lou George. And we took out 2 lots down here on the other side of Lou George where it adjoins on the backside entrance and took out 2 lots there and added buffers there as well. If we need to slide that top road down and add a buffer along that line there, we can. This is a preliminary layout. What we're asking for is the RG zoning with a maximum of 100 lots. It might end up being 90, 95. We're asking, there's been some social media stuff come out about they could put 300 houses on this with this zoning. That's untrue. What we're asking from you is to put a maximum zoning on the property of 100 lots. We meet the setbacks, the buffers, and buffering the stream, and it might end up being 90, 95, something like that.
You own Newcastle Homes?
No, sir. Glenn Siddle owns Newcastle Homes. My office is directly across from his. We've done dozens of deals together over the years.
Mr. President, let me ask this question, just based upon the exhibits that you provided. So to be clear, you said that the properties will start in terms of selling price point at $300,000, right?
Yes, ma'am. If you look at other Newcastle development homes, you won't see any homes that are selling less than $300,000.
Okay. In addition to that, there will be no rental properties available. This is totally for home ownership.
That is correct.
Okay. Lastly, I saw some of the photos that you provided of adjacent properties.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, obviously, I guess buffering is a concern. At least that's kind of what I gathered from before. And so, being that this is a small cul-de-sac, between your properties and the properties that you provided, okay, in terms of comparison, by the way, how far are these properties that you are making your comps?
All of those are within a half mile, maybe a quarter mile of the property.
Okay. But so that the residents who actually live there, have your company sought to do anything to make sure it is fully communicated, you all's willingness to work with them to make sure that there is no question as it relates to property values based on what you're developing and where they currently live, the property?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, yes, ma'am. We rented a room at the Holiday Inn right there at the Eastern Valley Road exit and invited all of the neighbors to come. We listened to concerns and most of the concerns are infrastructure and property values. We think, like I said, the development right across the street that you can see there on the screen is the same size lots as what we're proposing to do. The homes would be of equal or greater value that are there. And the one north up in McCalla Trace, same thing, smaller lots through McCalla Trace than what we're proposing, and some of equal size. And the problem is that a 1 acre development on this property is not feasible, and it won't happen just because it's not feasible and doesn't make economic sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure, I am.
All right. Up in the right-hand corner, there's a cemetery.
Yes, sir.
Is that part of this parcel?
Yes, sir. We'd be deeding it to, or we would not be disturbing that property. And if somebody manages that cemetery, if somebody manages it, we'd be happy to deed it to them or put it in a lot for them and donate it to them or whatever we need to do to keep that separate and not part. Ingress to the cemetery is up the Hannah Lane there.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right. A number of people here. Do we have spokesperson for any of these things? I understand that's save you for last.
I'd rather go first if you don't mind. I've got a lot to do. I will tell
You got to get up and go somewhere.
Well, what
Come
I'm
on
saying,
up.
a lot of the stuff that this gentleman said is kind of misrepresentative of our concerns.
And so you are a spokesperson.
Well, it's a public hearing. With all due respect, sir, I'm going to give you some stuff. I've got a map here, and I've got a handout for you. I don't speak for other people, but I can address what many of their concerns are. I will tell you first off, right off the bat, our concern are not necessarily, primarily, that this is a rural area. Our concern is, and probably will be for a long time, traffic and the
Come up
safety.
and put your name and address
Yes, sir.
to the podium.
I've got a person that's going to be doing a quick handout that I just hit with my, what? Oh, yeah. My name is Phil Turkett, Turkett. I will. My wife is telling me all what to do, so I got to.
I'd cut it off.
Thank you.
Mine, I don't think mine was on
I don't want to distract you. Welcome.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Phil Turkett. Phil is the first one.
And your address?
I live at 7536 Lupre Drive.
How close is that to the property?
I'm not real, about 2 miles, I guess.
So
But
you're
I'm-
2 miles away.
But I'm glad you asked that, sir. 2 miles from the property, approximately 2 miles from the subject property. But I'd like to tell you this, and I'm glad you asked me that, Commissioner Stevens, because we're here on behalf of the McCalla community. I moved to the McCalla community. We're all community members. We act and react and work together as community. So we're all affected by this. And as I told you earlier, or at the beginning of this, our major concern is traffic. Most of the streets, I'm kind of getting off my script, but most of the streets, public roads in that area are only between 18 and 19 feet wide. And you've got asphalt and drainage ditches, you've got asphalt in somebody's front yard. So our concern is that the more and more houses you put in there, the more and more cars you're going to bring to the area, and the more and more traffic jams you're going to have. And that's going to definitely have a negative effect on the neighborhood. It's nice that we can keep many of the houses out there not on 1 acre lots. They're on smaller lots than that. Some are much larger. But our major concern is not that it's having an effect necessarily on the rural. Our major problem is the roads. And to illustrate, I'd like to show you right quick what a 19-foot roadway looks like. That's it. From here to there is 19 feet. Delivery vans, RVs, trucks with wide tires on them, vehicles, all of them. 2 lanes of traffic right there. Like I said, you got asphalt and ditch, or asphalt in somebody's front yard. If you got a problem with traffic back up, you got nowhere to go. You're stuck right there. And this roadway that I'm sorry, I need to go back to the mic. This roadway that they talked about, the big roadway that they were making the improvements on, which is on Bell Hill Road, I don't think it's going to alleviate any of the traffic flow on this local street. I think it's basically going to add to it because it's going to bring all that traffic up there. There's going to be nowhere for them to go.
Mr. Turkett, let me interrupt you real quick. What was your address, 7536?
7536 Lupre Drive. I'm right across basically the area from where the new McAdory Elementary School is. And that in itself creates a great deal of, and there's a brand new school not more than about a half a mile from this, the McCalla Elementary School. That adds to traffic, and the street in front of that is 19 feet wide. But I'm here today to speak against this. And one of my main reasons to speak against it, in addition to that it's a traffic going to create, I think, and most of my neighbors and friends in that area think it's going to create a great deal of traffic flow, but it also is contrary to and in direct opposition of the purpose listed in your own or our own zoning ordinance. And I'd like to remind everybody that the zoning of this property, A1, does allow homes. And the applicant was talking about that they're 1 acre lots. I understand that. And it's already zoned for that. So bringing houses to the area, all he's wanting to do, or all that we've been told he wants to do, is increase the number. Now, I did attend the meeting on November 21st, as did many of the people that are behind me. And at that time, many of them asked the gentleman, why do you need so many houses out there? Why can't you just do it with 1 acre lots? And the subject of providing new homes for people that may work at the new hospital, may not, didn't come up. What he said was this, and I basically can quote him because my wife, who's sitting right over here, took excellent notes. And he said that the reason is that I can't make the money that the owner wants unless I put this number of property there. I can't, because it's not economically feasible for me to buy the property and to develop it.
We hear that a lot. What else?
I understand. Well, I have over 37 years of professional zoning experience. And I come before you, I've read, I've written even, I've edited, and I've even participated in several court cases dealing with zoning issues. And I can tell you now that economic feasibility of a project has never been accepted as a reason for granting a rezoning. In fact, I would dare say that everything the gentleman who is the applicant said today, I don't think is a reason, valid reason for granting a rezoning. There are very specific reasons for granting rezonings, and that was not one of them. And I'd like to also remind you, or make you aware, is that the purpose, the intent of a zoning ordinance is always for the health, the safety, and the welfare of the community. It's not economic feasibility. It's not bringing in houses, although that's not a bad thing to do if you have the infrastructure to handle it. But the main reason of zoning is to preserve and protect the health, the safety, and the welfare of the area. And I'm here today as a part of the McCullough community to urge you to vote against this because it basically goes against the health, the safety, and the welfare. Now, other parts of that handout you've got there talks about undue concentration of population. And by my map that I've showed you, I think you can see it. We also have a major concern. You can see the one development there that was mentioned that's been denied. It was denied by y'all. I spoke at that one. I mentioned the same thing, traffic, the increase in traffic. And this commission, wisely, I think, chose to deny that one. I think the commission today should deny this one for the same reasons. I don't think there's any valid reason, I haven't heard one yet, especially one that complies with the health, the safety, and the welfare of the community, that would have anything to recommend it for approval. Keep in mind, too, that the gentleman wants to put double the number of houses on this lot, on this property, double. He also wants to decrease the size of the lots by over 80%. 80%. Now, yes, sir. 7,500, I believe, is the current zoning of the property allows it to have a 1 acre lot, which is 43,560 square feet. I think the proposal is for 7,500 square feet. That's a reduction in the lot size of 80%. Now, I'd like to say in closing that I really, really want you to think about what's happening here, what's happening in our area. I think you can see by this illustration, plus the number of subdivisions that I've listed up there, they're within a 2 1/4, actually, I'd go for a 2.5 mile radius of this property. Now, also, I would tell you there's a number of available houses in that area for people who want to buy them. There's availability. Putting this new development down there is not going to instantly, and the people who work at the hospital aren't going to say, hey, to work at this hospital, you got to buy a house down here. That's not going to happen. No one can tell, just as y'all mentioned on the other cases, you can't tell what's going to happen in the future. These houses, no doubt in my mind, they'll be nice houses, no doubt at all, on the 7,500 square foot lot. I am concerned, as well as my friends and neighbors who live in this area, for the safety. While I was talking to the Planning and Zoning Committee, Mr. Cush sat right there and responded to one of the committee members, the P&Z committee members, that asked him, is there any road improvement projects planned for this road? He said, none that I'm aware of. None. So this is not only going to be a problem it's going to be now, it's going to last for many years, I think. Now, I'm just going on what the gentleman said. I'm not making that up. Most of what I've told you today is based on fact, out of your own ordinance. If you've got any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Traffic study been done?
No, sir. That's not generally a requirement of the zoning.
I just asked.
No, sir. To the best of my knowledge, no, sir. I think it's been recommended.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Turk.
Thank you all for
Next,
listening.
I'm going to call Kenny McMurray.
Yeah, can you take down your placard?
Mr. McMurray lives at 7563 Lou George Loop Road. That's directly across the street from this, am I correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
So you are directly affected by this?
I'm directly affected by this. The secondary entrance comes out into my driveway. So let me say this. I'm not opposed to development, never have been, but this property is already zoned for what it's zoned for. The infrastructure will not handle it around there. I'm a retired lieutenant out of the fire department, so I've seen development where I work, seen what's happened. Our fire service out there, we've got some excellent folks, but, you know, we don't have enough. Nothing against Jefferson County Sheriff's Department. I got friends on that department. There's not enough of them now. If we have to call them for something, we either take care of it till they get there, which may be 5 minutes if they're over at the substation that was built on Eastern Valley. It may take 30 minutes if they're on the north side of Jefferson County to have law enforcement out there.
Where they're generally not.
Okay. But anyway, you know, it was brought up in the last commission meeting where we had the denial for the property that is adjacent to us, the 40 acres behind me. And Commissioner Scales brought up that possibly if we could get something, I don't know if you want to call it a referendum, a memorandum, new bylaws or whatever, possibly put into place that we wouldn't have to be coming up here every month and approaching y'all to oppose this stuff for these developments that want to come in. Again, I'm not opposed to development, but people out there, we've got 3-acre lots. We're sitting on 20 acres ourselves. Other people's got an acre lot. Other people's got 50 acres. I mean, it's rural people. And I realize there are developments that's going on. People that work at the hospital, you know, he brought up, well, you got to have places for them to live. Well, the people that work at the hospital now already live either in Bessemer, McCalla, or somewhere else. They're going to come from the hospital that's presently in Bessemer to the new hospital. They may add a few more employees. But, you know, it goes back to the infrastructure and the roads out there, I don't believe will handle this. It's already, if I leave my house in the morning, if I leave at 7:10, I can go through the new school zone. I can get down there. I might have to set 10, 15 minutes to be able to turn to go on Bell Hill Road because of the traffic there. And there's already been, over the past number of years, several fatalities right there almost in front of my house. So, you know, that can happen anywhere, I realize that. But I just don't think that we need this many houses put on this property. You know, we've denied the one behind us. They went and they put, you know, they talk about the rental houses in the other subdivision. That subdivision was sold from the original developer. Whether he went under or not, I don't know. But it was sold. D.R. Horton bought it. They go in. They changed the lot sizes in there. They put smaller houses, smaller lots. Now the whole back side of it's rental houses. I just can't. I don't see it. I don't see it. So, you know, I'm asking for you to vote against this. If you have any questions with me.
Thank you, Mr. McMurray.
Thank you.
All right. We see the general tone of what's going on. Is there any other people that would like to speak against this that has a different argument. You know, we do not want to repeat the same thing. We have 2, 3. All right. You first, sir. State your name and your address and how close you are to this property.
Absolutely. So my name is John White. I live at 7660 Lou George Loop. My dad, who's out here, lives at 7628 Lou George Loop.
Gotcha.
And if you look on the properties, his address is right there on Hannah Lane, and I'm property right next to him. So I wanted to clarify a couple things that was mentioned by the builder. Yes, there's 2 other developments that are on the other side of the loop. So while he's going to tell you that this is backed up to multiple houses and multiple developments, if you pull it up on a map, this is kind of like a V, all right? And on the back side, yes, there is some developments over there. But on our side, right down here in this curve, that's all large family houses, large family plots. So like he said, Mr. McMurray said, they have 20 acres. My dad has 3. When I retired from the Army, I bought the 6 next to him. The guy next to me is 15 acres. So it's not small housing. It's not that type of environment. And if you look right here where that green is, right there where Hannah Lane meets Lou George Loop, about every 6 months you have a real bad car accident there. I grew up right there. I've seen people die there. We've seen that traffic is not going to get better by having an entrance right there. People speed through there all the time. I have an 11-year-old, and my dad has all my other nieces and nephews. They're going to be right there playing. We don't need 107 more houses worth of cars to come and speed through there without something being done about that first. It also brings your attention that that's not just a curve, that's a hill and a curve, like a very steep hill and a curve. So they're going to fly down, and there's been a few times where the trees in my dad's front yard have been knocked out by cars. There was one car that came off the top of that hill and hit the tree above the truck parked below it. So adding more cars and more traffic to this road without addressing that first, I think, would be a mistake.
So is this proposed neighborhood kind of in a valley?
It's a hill, and the bottom part where Hannah Lane is kind of a valley, yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. Next, I saw this lady over here had her hand raised. Please come up, state your name, your address, and how close you are to the property.
Hi, my name is Chanel Fletcher, and I am less than a mile to the south of this development. My address is 4975 Monroe Drive. I am coming, first of all, to say that I attended the meeting on November I think it was the 21st with the developer, and I'm trying not to be, but I am upset because he met with us, told us what their plans were. He said his last words to us were, "I'm going to talk to the seller, tell them what your concerns are, and I'm going to see if what you all are asking is feasible for us to be able to put this subdivision here, and I will get back with you all before we come back to the committee." We got nothing. I don't like people to lie to me. We tried to work with you. We tried to give you our concerns. You told us what you were going to do. We tried to work with them because we don't mind development, but we want the development to be consistent with what's in the area. And you never did come back. Next thing we hear, we got a letter saying, hey, everything is moving forward with your plans or what have you. When he talks about greater than 300 homes in one subdivision, which is straight up, which is McCullough Trace, and then greater than 100 homes in another subdivision, you've got to remember that for the most part, McCullough Trace up at the top is near the commercial area. That's where most of the properties are being sold, and they're not being sold because they're being sold because of the increase in their value, but that's in the commercial part of it that's near the hospital. These homes below this subdivision, they're not in that commercial part. We're still a community in that lower part, and we're a tight-knit community, and we're trying to preserve our rural community. If we go ahead and do this and allow this to come in, it's setting a precedence for these other developers to come in and try to do the same thing. You don't live here. How can you tell us what we need in our community? You don't live in the community. And Mr. Stevens, I know you're very familiar with the dynamics of this area. All of this below here is rural. There's one way in, one way out. I'm in that little street at the end that dead ends. You only got one way out, and it's difficult already trying to get in and out of that area. And again, we brought down there to retire as many of our neighbors. The one that has always been here with us, y'all, in the last 3 years fighting this, just passed, just bought a home, $900,000 on the corner of Fletcher Road and Monroe Drive. Just passed, all this stress and everything. He was upset because of everything that's going on. And for developers to come in and try to do this, we're not saying you can't develop. Just give us something comparable to what's there. And then Ms. Scales alluded to something to where we don't know if we can put this in place, but just to put something in place that preserves the nature of the area, because otherwise we're going to be back here every other month saying the same thing, fighting for the same thing, and you see that there's concern. This is just a fraction of the people that are against these developments that come in. He's also stating that, let's see, the dynamics of the area has begun to change because of these big subdivisions that are coming in. Trash debris is everywhere now, y'all. You smell weed as soon as you try to go up the road and go into some of these subdivisions. That's all you smell in some of these subdivisions. So the dynamics of this area is changing. Like I said, as far as the hospital is concerned, you don't put a development in for the hospital to say that these people need housing. These people already have housing. I know he's already discussed that. But that's just my main concern. I'm concerned about the infrastructure. It's just the number of houses that they're bringing in. And if we allow this to happen, they're going to continue to come in. And this part of Lou George Loop is a rural area, and we would like to keep it that way. These other subdivisions, and I was telling Mr. Knight last time, McCullough Trace, as well as this one, they start off with big, beautiful homes, 400,000, 450,000 in the front with the buffers. After that, I'm not sure what happened. They were resold or what have you. They started building the little garden homes, $200,000. $200,000 was the cost, but what it's worth might be about $50,000 because they're little cracker box houses. Same thing in this subdivision. You start off with beautiful homes. In the back of it, you end up with rentals, and you end up with these cookie cutter homes. And I do believe the same thing is going to happen here. The developers come in, they make promises, they line up with what the zoning committee wants, but after a while, they go do what they want to do. And at that point, they're already in your community. There's nothing you can do. That's what we don't want to happen. And I do believe he sold us and he blowed smoke, and we don't want it. So I thank you all for your time so much. And if there's anything we can do to put something in place, we're all ears. Please let us know what we can do to preserve our area.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else who'd like? Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We'll try to wind this up. I know it's taken up the entire morning. So.
Yes, sir. My name is Aaron Sizemore. I live at 7138 Lou George Loop. That is this property right here. My other family lives at this property back here. I've been there about 10 years. A lot of the items have been touched on, so I'm not going to touch back on those. There are two schools at both ends of Lou George Loop that congest traffic. Emergency vehicles cannot get through. Though I want to say about the work on Bell Hill Road being expanded to a 5-lane, I believe that is true because of the hospital coming in. One reason that the developer has stated that the neighborhood needs to go in to raise tax revenue in order to be able to then fix the infrastructure. If that were the case, the hospital wouldn't be doing the road at the same time. They build the hospital, create the revenue, then do the road. So I don't think that's very good logic on that. There is a bad curve that the neighbor on the backside touched on down here, but there's also one I live in the other bad curve on this end. I've personally been hit coming out of my driveway from oncoming traffic, as have many other people over the last 10 years. Both entrances to this neighborhood are in a curve that is in a valley. My end is on top of the valley. Their end is at the bottom of the valley. So it is a blind spot on both ends. The point that the developer made about living in the community where you work with the hospital and Smucker's coming, the current hospital is only one exit away from this exit. So if that's the logic, I believe that those people probably already live somewhere close to where they're working. There are two subdivisions that the developer spoke about that is at the bottom left corner and about a mile up the road towards the hospital. They have both just expanded and almost doubled their number of houses. The bottom subdivision here, I think, is about finished with construction. Most of those are rental properties, and I do believe most of them are still vacant. The other neighborhood did have about 300 houses. They have doubled almost 600, and that second phase is not even complete building. They're still got empty pads that they've got to build. So there is no current shortage that these neighborhoods can accommodate with the incoming hospital and the Smucker's facility. And I believe that is all I have, if anyone has any questions for me.
What kind of work you do?
I own an electrical company.
You might be in the law business or something.
I miss my calling. My daughter wants to be one, so I hope she gets it from me.
We're keeping you from work. I
Well,
understand that.
It's always work, but this takes priority today.
All right, is there any additional argument that someone would like to state? It's pretty well been represented, I understand, and I appreciate the participation by those in the community. There is one more. Are you for or against? Against. Come up, and then I'm going to let the developer speak or the real estate agent speak, and then we're going to call this to question.
Yeah, I started going to McAdoo in '99 in 8th grade, and it was a small little community, and this built up. But back in 2012, I bought that acreage right here below where they're trying to build the subdivision, and it's already tough to get out in the morning if you don't get out before 7 o'clock. And not to mention, I mean, not be all great people that are buying these houses, but these people also have cousins and stuff. And my house has been broken into 3 times since I bought it back in 2012, which the guy that was breaking in, I believe he's in jail right now. But might be all great people moving in, but those people have cousins, and that greatly increases the chances of our neighborhoods getting broken into, our houses getting broken into.
I understand. I do. Wayne, you hear that, Sheriff's Department? I did. Okay, that's. You do have a sheriff's representative here that we can work through. Mr. Bars.
Yes, we need to get the name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud. I think he gave it.
No,
didn't
he did.
Aaron Sizemore?
Name and address.
7548 Lou George Loop, Jacob Lewis.
Jacob Lewis. All right, Jacob. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's hear from the real estate gentleman.
Yes, my name is Matt Revel. I'm at 13306 Michael Drive in McCalla, and I'm a real estate agent representing the Hope family in this process, and I broker is High Point Properties. Oh, excuse me, my public speaking skills are a little rusty. I just want to say a few things in rebuttal to all the information that's been passed around, namely the roads. I had some short time-lapse videos I took of the traffic out there at the peak times in the morning, at school drop-off and at school pick-up, and it's also just late in the afternoon with time people go home. And regrettably, they weren't able to be shown. But their roughly 30-second time-lapse videos represents 15 minutes of real time. And at any time in those videos, you can see where I stop at the school at McCalla Elementary, where the police are directing traffic in and out. And I circumvent that whole loop, which is roughly 7 miles between the hospital, back around Lou George, to Pocahontas, and back around to the hospital again. It's roughly 7 miles, and I did it in 15 minutes in just about every video. One is a little bit longer, but I started at the interstate, at the exit at Eastern Valley Road, and made the loop. And any time in those videos, I never
I understand that, but you go to video, traffic. Make a point. Would you make the point?
So I was just trying to. I'm sorry. Somewhat, I think Commissioner and I addressed the cemetery. We were looking to, I think Mr. White had mentioned he was trying to get that under the Historical Society, and we would like to pursue that to get that. But Mr. Zolly Holt had always had that piece. It was surveyed separately from the rest of the property, and it was separate from the rest of it, even though we had to buy it as part of the whole parcel, or we're trying to buy, as well as the power line easement, the cemetery, wasted space. It's all part of our package. And I've heard that the economics don't play into this. There's nobody going to do any kind of economic or any kind of project if it's not economical feasible. That's just common sense. Ms. Fletcher referenced our meeting where we had the Holiday Inn, where we said that we didn't get back with the people. I took notes myself, and I don't recall ever saying we would get back with anybody. We said we were going back to the drawing board, and talk to the landowner if they wanted to lessen the density of the homes. And there again, the economics came into it. She represents her family of several people, 12 to 15 individuals, and they all wanted a certain amount of money, and that's the only way you could get to that. And Mr. Turkett says, we can't take economics into consideration, but once again, economics plays a part in everything you do, no matter what you go into the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread. We had 2 different realtors write letters of support saying that they have personally experienced the housing shortage in the area because the clients that they've had trying to put into houses in a starter home type scenario, there's just not a lot of it available. You either got the real high end stuff or there's stuff low end stuff. There's not a whole lot of homes in between that make sense for them, and so that's one of the reasons why we have this subdivision planned. Because I was asked several times early on is what good are we doing for the community, and like what makes you think we need all these homes down here on Lou George Loop? Well, we're trying to fill a need that has been well documented. I mean, this is a targeted growth area of Jefferson County, and you hear the hospital mentioned multiple times. Smokers mentioned all the time. But there's also another dozen or so businesses over in McCalla, the Jefferson Metro Park in McCalla, as well as the one on Lakeshore, closer to your end of the woods, and then you got Carvana down there, and the recently purchased CVS warehouse is a new business coming in there. You've got a lot of people that's going to be seeking jobs in all those places, and even though they may have homes now, they might want to relocate to that area to get closer to their home, to build that community that everybody talks about. And it's one of the things I've noticed in dealing with all this out in the past, 6 to 8 months. I've been working hard in that area, talking to people and working. It is a community, no doubt, but it's not much of a neighborhood. I spoke with a gentleman this past Saturday. He's lived there since 2005, and he knew the people on one side of him, either side of him, and he knew the first name of the guy across the road. That's not much of a neighborhood to me. You live in a subdivision similar to what we have here. You're going to know your neighbors. Your kids are going to play with the neighborhood kids. They're going to be out in the street playing with each other, or hopefully not in the street when cars coming, but nevertheless, that's what I call a neighborhood. You can have neighborhoods inside of communities, and that's one of the things we're just trying to provide a place to call home for people that need a place to live, work, play, and add to the community, add to the neighborhood, add to the prosperity of the McCalla region as a whole. And with that, I'll shut up, sit down.
What I'd like to do is you made some good points. One of them was the traffic and what's going on. I live on Morgan Road, and most of these folks are my friends that I've known most of my life. There are over 20,000 cars a day pass in front of my house. I do not want that for these people. Okay, that's something that I do not want. There are subdivisions that are off of Hopewell Road, which is coming between the Carvana and the Lowe's Distribution Center and my house, that are smaller and less expensive houses than these, and the density is very similar. So I do experience and understand what you're attempting to do and what these folks understand and will do. With that being said, is there any questions from the commission? I think we need to call this to vote. One little something, Cuzzy. Please, name and address again.
Sandrika Moore. My name is not listed, but 6,000 Overlook Lane. I live in Letson Farms. One thing that I noticed that was missing, I live in the area, but there's like an increase in traffic, but we only have one main exit to 459. So everything has, even though you got Ben Hill that's expanding, everything has to go down that road and go to exit 1. You have the hospital, but you have the bridge, which could be an exit in the future, but it's not really one now. So the infrastructure and the increase in traffic, I feel, is a huge problem.
Thank you.
In addition to the shortage of the exit.
We are addressing that. That's something that
Ma'am, don't give him any more ideas.
We have been working with that. With everything being said, I certainly appreciate everyone's participation and understand both sides of this problem. Public hearing is now closed. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'm kind of on the fence on this one. My history is I don't like these, regardless of the economics, I don't like these condensed neighborhoods. But the reality is that's everything being built now is that. But I hadn't heard anything about a traffic study. I've heard some talk about it, and I don't have a good handle on what's going to happen to that cemetery, because cemeteries are a problem in the county, and the county ends up having to deal with them. So I'm going to move to deny it at this time.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second? I'm going to second that motion to deny this. Miss Minute Clerk, Shalisha, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bolden, Commissioner Knight,
Aye.
Commissioner Scales,
Abstain.
Commissioner Tyson,
No.
Commissioner Stevens.
Aye. It requires 3 votes to approve any zoning regulation. At this time, those 3 votes are not there, so it has been denied. Okay?
But I do like the fact that they would be coming in on the sewer, but I really got a problem with that traffic study in that cemetery.
I don't know what you can say, please.
I just asked you to restate what you just said. That's it. It was denied.
It was denied.
Mr. President.
And did you see the vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. If anyone needs to go to work, you're welcome to go now.
Mr. President, I did have a question.
Besides us, Wayne has to go to work.
Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
I did have a question as relates to how long will it be before this applicant can come back before this commission?
It will be 1 year.
It'll be 1 year?
Unless he changes something.
Unless there's some sort of major
Well,
change.
and that's where I was going, because seemingly
He reduces his lot size, buffers more or something. With access
well, that's the reason why.
We can consider that.
Addresses the cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
I don't want to be
participating.
surprised. Just ask.
You're going to be surprised how quickly the rest of this agenda will go.
We got 2 more public.
We have public hearing is the approval and adoption of a resolution for vacation of a right-of-way. Chris, you want to give that to us?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a couple hundred feet of 2nd Avenue and 2nd Avenue Alley in the Trafford area. It was platted this way. It's a historical plat that was never built with those roads there. So we had the adjoining property owners has asked us to vacate that right-of-way there. Currently, it's a house and a yard. There is no street in that right-of-way, so we recommend the vacation.
Well, will it, if we abandon it or vacate it, where does it go?
It goes to the underlying property on the people that are there now, the underlying property owner.
Okay. All right.
All right, open public hearing on resolution of vacation of right-of-way. Is anyone in the audience speaking in favor of or in opposition to this? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Move the item.
Item's been moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have a turf road approval for Gulf Coast Portfolio project on public hearing and resolution authorizing the issuance of bonds pursuant to Section 147F of the IRS Code of 1986. I'd like to open a public hearing at this time. Is there anyone in favor of or in opposition to this particular issue?
What's these bonds for?
Commissioner, this has been before you previously. They just did not issue in a timely fashion. This is the requirement that the IRS says
Great.
that they have to have approval of the governmental entity to issue these bonds for. This is a apartments over Rocky Ridge, and they did not do it in time, so they need to do another one.
Okay. Public hearing at this time for the stated. Seeing no one speaking to this issue, public hearing is closed. Move the item. Item's been moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Commissioner, there's 34 resolutions that we're dealing with. They were properly vetted and discussed in detail in our pre-commission meeting. Is there any that a commissioner would like to pull for separate consideration or vote?
I have a request on item 29. The resolution authorizing official name change of a portion of Chalkville Road, changing the name to reflect Chalkville Mountain Road. I would like to delete the word reflect and just change the name to Chalkville Mountain Road as a pen and ink.
Pen and ink change.
Items 1 through 34 with pen and ink change on the item just mentioned.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Any new business, gentlemen? Would you like to speak, Mr. Market?
Commissioners, congratulate you all in your leadership, and Angela, Theo, David Dinner, and everybody for the bond refinancing project. I'm sure you'll have more comments. But thank you for your leadership and guts to get through that, and the timing of it was wonderful.
County Attorney.
Good day to be in Jefferson County.
You know, we as a commission, in its entirety, completed one of the more significant achievements that we've had since we've been in office, and we get trumped by Saban retiring. So, quiet news day, and you know, when we took office in 2010, one of our goals was to restore anonymity back to this county commission, because everything that was going on was debated in the news article, and people were going to jail, and things were going on that was terrible for the county and for the economic prosperity and well-being of our people. And we as a commission, our Democrats and our Republicans, have worked together to make sure that you, the citizens, are well served. And it hasn't gone unnoticed, and it hasn't gone unappreciated. So I want to thank this commission and for the policy that they've been able to introduce and to work forward, and also the county management team and workers for working together to implement that policy. Is there any other commissioner who'd like to say anything?
President?
Commissioner Scale.
Yes, sir. First of all, I do want to say thank you to all of the staff, everyone involved as it relates to this sewer bond debt, for the work that you all have performed on our behalf. I want to thank this commission that we had a process that I felt was non-debative. I think what happened is just as I stated before, the effectiveness and compassion to get the job done. And because of that, there was very little, I believe, very little discontentment amongst Republicans and Democrats to do what needed to be done. I would say the majority, at least 3/5 of this commission, was not here at the initial stage of this bankruptcy. So I do want to applaud the efforts of the president and the pro tem who also is the finance chairman as well, to hang in there. But I also want to say to us newcomers, anytime, especially for commissions districts 1 and 2, to make sure that we're advocating for minority business participation in the nation's largest bankruptcy to ever occur at 15%. Some may discount that, but you may want to look at what 15% of $2.4 billion actually represent. And to save more than $1 billion in the process is incredible. There's also a assistance fund that will come about in the future that will be explained in terms of criteria for eligible residents for repairs. I think that is a huge win for the county. We do have in commission districts 1 and 2 residents who cannot afford to pay, and so to have that addressed within this bond agreement is major. So the reason why I'm breaking it down that way, because I know that the Democrats up here, we share the idea of there being some other issues that were included within this bond settlement or sale of these bonds. So one last thing I will say as well, and then Mr. Finance Chair, you can kind of chime in on that. I like the idea of two things. A is that the rate increase will remain at 3.49%. That's always been the contingency for Commissioner Tyson and I, was the fact that as the years would go on, we knew that it would get the interest rate for ratepayers would go up. Well, this has eliminated that. In addition to that, the fact that some of these high interest cap debt that we had, that's no longer there. So I think once, everybody gets over the shock of Brother Saban leaving Alabama, I want everybody to really know how this body has performed on behalf of Jefferson County residents and the stakeholders. And Mr. President, I look forward to you working with the county manager's office by way of Helen, because Helen, they got the first one as in 2.2. They don't have the 2.4, right? Like I've been reading all this stuff too. But I want us to really put the word out there. That was a huge win for the county. But the average citizen has to know, what does that look like? And that's the reason why I'm detailing it the way that I am, because other than that, you just hear a bunch of talking. You're like, yeah, okay, they didn't do anything for real. Well, you helped to eliminate debt for the largest bankruptcy in this country, which resulted in several commissioners going to prison. Okay, and this commission sought to make it right. And Mr. President, I look forward to us really getting the word out, whether it be through town hall meetings or whatever it takes, for the same amount of media coverage that was negatively lost against this commission, that we do the same amount of effort, concerted effort, to make sure that this word gets out. So again, I want to thank the law department, I want to thank the county manager's office, everyone who works within county management office, so that obviously includes finance, everyone, for the role that they played, because we cannot do it without you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Commissioner Knight.
Let me do one correction. We were the second largest bankruptcy.
Were
we? We are now, yeah. Yeah, we all cheered when Detroit came in.
But before we were the first.
We were back then, but when Detroit came in, we were like, yes, we're number 2. But the way we have restructured and refinanced this, is that time for it? You got your time wrong. We have it covered that on the sewer, we also have a lot of sewer debt, but that's been there for years and years and years. But we have a plan going forward to pay it off in 30 years instead of 170. We also have operational covered, capital covered, and debt service in this deal. And I want to thank David Dennard in the sewer department for you know, what all y'all have done to keep it going, to get it to this point to where that we could do this refinancing. And the final thing is that, you know, we went to the bond market with a $2.24 billion offering, and we got over $26 billion in offers for that debt. That says a lot about Jefferson County and those investors out there willing to invest their funds in this county. So that says a lot about us and what we've done over the last 10 years, and I think that's super significant. Last thing I want to say is, Tara, we love you, and we're going to miss you around here.
Yes,
so good luck
yes,
to you. And
yes.
The best of you. Okay.
Spice Girl.
You good? Mr. Tosh.
Yes, I want to say when the president called about the victory, my first concern was we need to make sure the citizens understand dollars and cents, because I'm getting all the calls. Scales is getting all of the calls about the sewer increase, and everyone thought it was going to be increased for 40 years. Yeah, you will have a increase, but it won't go up. It will be stabilized. And the minority participation, which was 15%, from my understanding that the minority firm that handled it, they actually sold more bonds. Am I correct? They did a great job.
Everyone, the entire
right, but they did it. But if you don't, might have said dog don't wag their own tail. They did a great job being a minority firm, and I think they should. I just want to say it. And we do need to get the word, but we get the word out. But it need to be in dollars and cents where people can really understand it. When you go and talking to the community about bonds and all of that, they don't understand, but they do understand. $50 increase or $50 less, they understand that, and I don't want them to, to misinterpret anything that is said. And I would like for that to happen in the neighborhoods, because I see it every single day. The problems that we are having with people, the working poor, paying their utilities. And that is so, so important in our community, that we make sure that it's stabilizing the community to where we can afford to do things that we want to, and just the basic needs of people. So I do want to say that, and I want to say congratulations to all of us for pulling this off, really. And it's definitely a victory, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. We all worked together. We turned 40-year bonds into 30-year bonds. We kept the same maturity. We took the interest rate from nearly 8% to 4.6%, 4.63%. We enabled us to utilize that interest rate, that revenue that was generated, in order to do operation and maintenance, capital improvements, and debt service without any additional borrowing necessary over the life of this loan. That is significant. And that gives our ratepayers, the people who are on the sewer, a pathway. They know what their sewer bill will be, and they will understand that. And those that need help will receive help. So, and I want to thank Commissioner Scales and Commissioner Tyson for having the confidence, from not understanding the complexities of this situation to having delved deep into it and to fully understand something that it took me 2 years of immersion in to get to understand how it was working. They've done a great job, and they've worked on the behalf of all the citizens, and we certainly do appreciate that. And With that being said, this commission,
And this wasn't a quick issue. We've been working on this for well over a year just to try to get it to the market, because the 10-year window was in October, and then the market went to not very good for us at all. And we had some other options that came before us, and we said, no, we're not going to do any kind of forward advancing funding or any. We waited till the right time, and boy, we hit it just right. Good for you, Jimmy.
thank you. And we certainly do appreciate everyone. This meeting is recessed and further notice. Thank you.